Welcome to a special edition of My Block. Ernest Hemingway had many ties to Cuba and Florida, none more than this house that he had here in Key West. From 1931 to 1939, 70% of his work was created here in this house. It also has the first and only pool within 100 miles of Key West at the time. The Hemingway home was built in 1851 in the Spanish colonial style by wealthy marine architect and salvager Asa Tift. The home was in great disrepair when the Hemingways took ownership in 1931, but both Ernest and his wife Pauline could see beyond the rubble and ruin to appreciate the grand architecture of the home. Employing out-of-work conchs, the Hemingways restored the entire house. Most of the house's inner finishings were selected by Pauline, but Ernest insisted on the inclusion of his hunting trophies from African safaris and hunting expeditions in the American West. At the cost of air circulation, Pauline replaced the house's ceiling fans with chandeliers. The couple also converted the second story of the carriage house into a writing studio for Ernest and transformed the basement into a wine cellar. While living at the house, Hemingway wrote some of his best received work, including the 1935 nonfiction work Green Hills of Africa, the 1936 short stories The Snows of Kilimanjaro, and The Short Happy Life of Francis Macomber, and his 1931 novel To Have and Have Not. After his death, a manuscript was discovered in a vault in the garage. This was published posthumously in 1970 as The Islands in the Stream. In addition, a very visible and living link to the past are the descendants of Hemingway's cats. The story says Hemingway made the acquaintance of a sea captain who owned an unusual six-toed tomcat. Upon his departure from Key West, the captain presented the cat to Hemingway. Today, the cat's descendants still inhabit the grounds and possess the unusual six toes. One of the more stunning and unusual features of the Hemingway home is the in-ground swimming pool, an extraordinary luxury for a residential home in the 1930s Key West. It was the only pool within 100 miles at the time, with the final cost of construction being an exorbitant $20,000. Today, visitors can still see a penny embedded in the pool patio where Hemingway threw down the coin yelling, "Pauline, you spent all but my last penny, so you might as well have that." After 8 years of residing at the house, Hemingway moved to Cuba in 1939. Following their divorce in 1940, Pauline lived in the house until her death in 1951. It then remained in Hemingway's possession until his suicide 10 years later. Later that year, his three sons auctioned off the house for $80,000. The new owners intended to use the house as a private residence. However, due to persistent interest from visitors, they opened the house to the public as a museum in 1964. On November 24, 1968, the property was designated a National Historic Landmark and is the most popular tourist attraction in Key West today. Have you been to the Hemingway house? If you do, be prepared to be greeted by about 70 cats. Let me know what you think about this on my comments below. And thanks for passing by My Block.